And welcome back. Before we get to our next session, I would like to say a huge thank you to our sponsors. Our titanium sponsors, HP, Microsoft, Qualcomm, and Unity Technologies, as well as a huge thank you to our gold sponsor, Plug HR. Plug XR. A few reminders, please check out the side events for attendees that have VR headsets. You can participate there. Our Augie Awards, you can catch them on the main live stream on May 29th, starting at 11:50 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And a reminder that all the main sessions are being recorded and will be available to all participants and on the YouTube channel, the AWE YouTube channel. And now we'll start off with our next session, Scent, the key to unlocking virtual world immersion and powerful real world benefits, with Aaron Wiśniewski from OVR Technologies. Please take it away.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you, AWE, for having me. Thank you for the track chair for the introduction. My name is Aaron Wisniewski. I'm the CEO and co-founder of OVR Technology, and I'm going to tell you today how your nose is going to change the world. You, like everyone else, has a library of scent memories that define you. Maybe it's the smell of crayons, or maybe it's your grandmother's house, or maybe it's fresh cut grass, or the unpleasant but familiar odor of a wet dog. Or maybe you're like me and hunt down more unconventional scent memories, like exotic fruit markets, things that explode, or a whole host of agricultural smells. Whatever our individual memories may be, one thing is clear: they are powerful. Catch a whiff of any of these smells anywhere else, and you're instantly transported back to that exact moment in time. The reason these memories are so powerful is because of the biological, psychological, and social role our sense of smell plays in our lives. I've dedicated my career to understanding the art and science of our sometimes undervalued sense and how it can benefit our lives. A few years ago, when my path intersected with virtual reality, two things were immediately clear to me. Number one, virtual reality can change the way that we think, learn, play, and heal. And number two, virtual reality needs to feel as real as the real world in order to be successful. Olfaction, our sense of smell, is the key that can unlock that potential. And it's around that principle that my team and I founded our company, OVR Technology. We are a passionate group of scientists, technologists, engineers, designers, and olfactory experts dedicated to unlocking the potential of VR through our oldest and most primal sense. Now, scent is more powerful, more critical, and more complex than most people realize. Here's why. During our evolution, it developed long before sight or sound, and for a long time after that, it was the only way we were able to understand the world around us. Even at 10 weeks old in the womb, our sense of smell is fully formed and functioning. And for weeks after birth, it is the only way we are able to recognize our mothers. Smell is how we identify safe, nutritious food. It's how we sense danger that our eyes and ears cannot. And just like mothers and newborns, it's also how we communicate socially. In fact, it's widely believed that our sense of smell is the reason we romantically kiss each other. See, each one of us has a unique odor signature that is more distinct even than our fingerprints. It contains piles of information about us, like our genetics and our immune system. Kissing is actually a way for two potential mates to sample each other's smell and decide whether it's a good genetic match or not. And although kissing may not be critical for our survival, our sense of smell can be. It is the only one of our senses directly linked to the limbic system, which is the area in our brain responsible for memory and emotion. Memory and emotion helped our ancestors to survive in the harshest of conditions, and engaging them now makes the difference between witnessing virtual reality and experiencing virtual reality. This ancient part of our brain also drives cognition, behavior, and motivation. It's where all of our gut feelings come from. For example, you may think that you consciously decide everything that you buy, but actually 95% of all purchasing decisions are made subconsciously and originate from the same area of the brain. That's why, without knowing any of you personally, I can confidently say that over half of you have Tide laundry detergent in your house right now. Tide understood the power of smell over spending behavior very early on and benefited greatly from it. Now, what would it be like without our sense of smell? We actually have a pretty good idea of what that's like due to a small percentage of us suffering from a condition called anosmia, or complete loss of smell. These people report to live in a pervasive state of fear, anxiety, depression, and isolation. Without our sense of smell, we lack the ability to sense environmental dangers like fire or toxic gases. We can't distinguish between rotten food and nutritious food. And we lack the important chemical signals between our family, ourselves, and our friends, communicating feelings of safety, love, comfort, and belonging. Now, although it is the oldest of our senses, it is far from simple. How smell functions is complicated and extremely difficult to reproduce. With every single breath that we take, we are sampling the invisible tapestry of sensory information all around us. This swirling, chaotic soup is filled with thousands of different odorant molecules in infinite combinations, which then collide with the millions of odor receptors in the back of our noses, which is then, in turn, translated by the olfactory bulb and finally logged as memories, emotions, and experiences in our mind. And all of this happening in fractions of a second. Now, there have been multiple historical failed attempts to harness this complex, elusive sensory world, but our unique approach is a combination of hardware, software, and scentware that we call the architecture of scent. Here's how we developed it. Step one, how does nature do it? By decoding the natural process of scent creation and diffusion, we were able to design a microtechnology that accurately mimicked it. On the left side of this image are magnified photographs of the surface of flower petals. Each ridge emits tiny fragrant molecules. And on the right side of this image is a magnified photograph of our microtechnology. Similar to a flower petal, it also emits fragrant molecules. But unlike nature, we have complete control over when and how it does it, tuned right down to the part per million and the millisecond. Step two in harnessing the power of scent. Visualize the invisible. Like I said, the natural sensory world around us is a chaotic soup, but classifying it as a set of geometries with predictable behavior instead, we were able to translate them into a digital framework that can then be applied to any virtual content. As the user collides with this invisible geometry, it triggers the appropriate sensory experience. Now, finally, step three, what exactly are the scents that we are constantly inhaling, and how can we recreate them? Once again, we look to nature. By using a combination of analytical chemistry and our sensory expertise, we developed a system to capture, catalog, and recreate the complex aromatic world around us, one scent at a time. We now have a substantial internal library, and it's getting bigger and bigger every single day. This architecture of scent that we developed, the hardware, the software, and the scentware, works wirelessly and effortlessly together to understand your behavior in the virtual world and release precise olfactory impressions at exactly the right moment. Now, I think the first thing that comes to a lot of people's minds when they hear the words scent and virtual reality in the same sentence is gaming, not surprisingly. And although gaming may be an exciting opportunity for us in the near future, we are currently mostly aligning ourselves with people and organizations in healthcare, therapy, training, and education. Now, I'd love to show you some of the incredible work we're doing right now with those partners. By enhancing presence in the virtual world, we can support their vision for bigger impact and better outcomes. When I've been in the lab all day, perfecting the smell of hot garbage, ass, blood, and rotting flesh, it puts a lot of people off. Most of us, I think, deliberately avoid these smells, but not Dr. Skip Rizzo. In Dr. Rizzo's research at the University of Southern California, smells like these are critical. He is at the forefront of how multimodal virtual reality can be used in mental health strategy and how olfaction plays a key role. Dr. Rizzo is focused on treating military veterans who are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and he has incorporated prolonged exposure therapy into a virtual program called BraveMind. For anyone unfamiliar with prolonged exposure therapy, it is a treatment in which a clinician helps a patient revisit and reprocess difficult and traumatic memories in a safe, controlled environment. Over time, this allows the patient to, in effect, rewire their brain and live a relatively normal life. Engaging the sense of smell during this therapy is critical, not only to maximize the feelings of presence in the virtual world, and therefore its impact, but also as a memory trigger to draw out the uncomfortable, repressed memories that lie at the core of this disorder. This work is so important because PTSD affects up to 20% of combat veterans, and every single day, a staggering 21 veterans die from suicide as a result. We believe that this is just the beginning of how multimodal VR can be used in mental health strategy and how olfaction is already playing a key role. Now, before coronavirus drew everything to a grinding halt, Daniel Stricker and I were on our way to Samoa to document a remote village. This small village is in danger of losing much of their cultural heritage due to increasing social and environmental pressures. On this trip, Daniel would be capturing 360 video and VR content, while I would be documenting the sensory components, like the environment, food, rituals, and daily life. Daniel Stricker is an internationally known Australian-born artist, musician, and producer and activist. More recently, he's actually known for his work on a global village education initiative, which uses virtual reality as a tool to spread knowledge and awareness of indigenous cultures. What brought Daniel and I together is that we agree on the power of olfactory virtual reality being the ultimate storytelling tool. By engaging our sense of smell in these rich, immersive environments, it will create more presence, more emotion, more impact, and more retention. And by doing this, our intention is not only to build knowledge, but inspire action born of empathy. Studies have shown that the more connected one feels to a person or cause, the more likely they are to take action. The completed project chronicling this Samoan village will premiere at the Venice Biennale of Architecture later this year, and then hopefully around the globe, thus generating support for this individual initiative, as well as a repeatable model for ones just like it in the future. Now, although important, empathy is not the only real-world behavioral result we get from virtual reality, and no one knows this better than Dr. Jeremy Balinson. He runs the Virtual Human Interaction Lab at Stanford University in California. And this is where he studies how presence in VR experiences influence our cognition, our behavior, our emotion, and our motivation. He is one of the world leaders in the subject, and when asked how olfaction might play a role in VR, his response was this, and I quote, "Virtual scent is in many ways the new frontier. Olfaction is a powerful cue for presence as well as for priming memories. Every time I have done a demo in VR with scent layered in thoughtfully, I am blown away by the value it adds," end quote. At OVR Technology, we are currently collaborating with him and a project for the Tribeca Film Festival that highlights the power of scent in virtual reality. Our hope is that our work with him on olfaction and presence will open doors for olfaction to improve all virtual experiences in the future. At OVR Technology, when we think about the future and where virtual reality fits into it, we prefer not to think about VR as just a piece of technology that you hold in your hand, but rather a complete other world existing alongside our own. What makes the virtual world unique from the real one is that within it, anything is possible. We want this world of infinite possibilities to benefit humanity and not end up being an escape or some sort of dystopian underworld. Among other things, we envision universal access to the virtual world, where we will get healthcare when we're sick, where we will go to school and receive our education. It's where we can learn new job skills to expand our economic opportunities. We'll interact with each other in a meaningful way, even if we are across the globe. And of course, in the virtual world, we won't just watch our entertainment, we will participate in it. At OVR Technology, we are one of the many architects constructing this virtual world, and we are doing it with intention. Just like a pencil, a house, or even the internet, how it's used is a result of how it's built. By elegantly incorporating our oldest, most primal sense, we can build a virtual world as rich, meaningful, and authentic as our own to realize the true potential of virtual reality. Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you AWE for making sure that the show goes on despite everything else. I'm now happy to answer questions. Please come visit us at the OVR Technology virtual booth for more information as well.
Thank you, Aaron. That was a great chat.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone for coming to see my talk, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. For those that do have questions, please type them into the chat channel and we'll get to them. First question for you, Aaron. Are there basic scents, like primary scents, or is every scent that you create a truly unique combination of scents?
Gosh, it's a great question. We get that question a lot. You know, I think that the RGB or the CMYK of scent would be amazing, but unfortunately, nature doesn't work like that. So what we've done is classified, the hundreds of thousands of different scent molecules into different categories, and are able to, look for patterns and recreate, really authentic scents from scratch, and take advantage of some of those similarities over the two to create a very broad range of possible scents in our library.
Okay, so there is a bit of an alphabet. It's 3,000 letters instead of 26.
Yeah, I would say 3,000 letters is a pretty conservative estimate too.
Yeah. Thank you. At what point do you think you'll be able to get to real-time scent recreation?
Real-time scent creation is something that's been on our mind since day one. Unfortunately, I don't have a date for that. It's been tried in the past, and it's very, very difficult to say the least. So real-time scent creation on the fly using base components like CMYK, that's still a few years off. However, real-time scent creation using our technology has high fidelity enough so the user doesn't really notice that maybe there are only a limited amount of scents. If I understand that question correctly too, it's, how can we perceive scent on one end and then recreate that scent in real time? And that might even be, a little bit closer than we realize right now with electronic nose sensing technology and where we're at with our platform.
Right. It would have been great for a VR cooking show to be able to smell what was being cooked. A few other questions here for you. How do kids react when the kids haven't created that scent library? Do you find that they're just as able to understand what those smells are, or is it something that they're classifying on the fly, so to speak?
Interestingly enough, kids often respond, I don't want to say better, but with more gusto than adults. And there's two reasons for that we believe. For one thing, as you get older, especially over 50 years old, your sense of smell starts to deteriorate a little bit. So kids and young adults have a very, very, very fine-tuned sense of smell. And in the virtual world, it's not so much that you are looking for smell consciously. What the smell is doing is reinforcing the feeling of presence and reinforcing the environment that you're seeing, and you're subconsciously looking for congruency, So if you see an orange and you smell an orange, that is a delightful experience. So the kids, of course, trying virtual reality maybe for the first time and being able to smell it, respond with abandon. So I would say that, maybe when we're adults, we're a little bit more reserved in our reactions. But I would say that the, subconsciously how scent affects us is the same.
Mm-hmm. And is it possible to actually augment your sense of smell, can you actually smell like a dog, for example?
That's a great question too. So dogs have a lot more smell receptors than humans do, but that does not mean in any way that humans are bad at smelling. I think that's a very common misconception, is that humans are bad at smelling. Although we cannot enhance our sense of smell biologically, so to speak, the more that we pay attention to our noses and what we're smelling, the more things we can identify, the more we'll appreciate it, and the more we can use our nose to navigate the world.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I believe that's the time that we have for the session. Aaron, thank you very much for your talk. For those that still have questions for Aaron, please do not hesitate to reach out to him. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have.
Yep, we'd love to see you at our booth, or feel free to shoot us any other questions on Twitter. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks for Chapter.
Thanks.